Let's break it down. When people ask, who's the strongest military on Earth, they usually mean three different things at once. Who can fight the biggest war? Who can fight far from home? Who can keep doing it for years without breaking the economy? And that's why the real comparison between the United States, China, and Russia is not one scoreboard. It's a stack of scoreboard. Money, industry, technology, geography, alliances, and the ugly reality of combat performance. So in this video, I'm going to give you a clean, simple ranking, category by category, and then the big takeaway, what kind of war each country is built to win. First, money. But money that turns into power, not just headlines. The US is still the biggest spender in raw dollars. That budget buys global logistics, satellites, carrier strike groups, and a research pipeline that never really sleeps. China is number 2, and it's rising steadily, plus it gets more for each dollar because it builds more at home with state-backed industry. Russia is third, and since the Ukraine war, it's spending hard, but with a big problem. Wartime spending can look strong while it's quietly eating the future. If you only look at budgets, you'll think the US wins automatically. But budgets don't fight, industrial capacity fights. Second, industrial base. The how fast can you build and replace stuff. Category. This is where China is terrifying. China can manufacture at scale, not just consumer goods, but shipyards, electronics, drones, missiles, and the supply chains underneath all of that. A modern war burns through precision weapons, drones, air defense interceptors, and spare parts like gasoline. The country that can surge production and keep logistics flowing has a silent advantage. The US still has world-class defense contractors, but it also has bottlenecks, fewer shipyards, long lead times, and political fights over procurement. Russia has deep legacy experience building certain systems, but sanctions, losses, and modernization limits create a ceiling. On pure mass plus speed, China leads. Third, geography and power projection. Can you show up and can you stay? The US is built for distance. It has overseas access, long-range air refueling, sea lift, and allies that host forces. This matters because a military that can fight over there is a different animal from one that can fight only on its borders. China is built primarily for its neighborhood, the Western Pacific, Taiwan scenarios, and nearby sea lanes. It's getting better at distance, but it's not the same as global presence. Russia is also regional in practice. It can pressure nearby theaters, but it struggles to sustain major operations far away without huge strain. If the question is, who can fight on multiple continents at once, the US is still number 1. Fourth, the Navy. Numbers versus punch. China has the world's largest Navy by ship count. That's real. But tonnage and capability matter too. The US fleet is heavier, more carrier-centric, and designed for blue water operations with long sustainment. China's Navy is increasingly modern and missile-heavy, and it's getting better every year, especially close to home where it can layer land-based missiles, aircraft, and sensors. So here's the clean way to say it. Near China's coastline, China's Navy is a monster. Across the globe, the US Navy is still the best expeditionary tool on Earth. Russia's Navy? It has important submarines and regional strengths, but surface fleet survivability has been challenged in recent conflicts, and its ability to project sustained power is limited. Fifth, air power, stealth, integration, and the system of systems. The US still leads in 5th-generation capability, pilot training, and joint integration. Air plus space plus cyber plus electronic warfare fused together. That fusion is the difference between having jets and having an air campaign. China is closing the gap fast. It's building more modern aircraft, improving sensors, and investing heavily in air defenses. But the US advantage is still in experience, integration, and long-range enablers, tankers, ISR, and global command and control. Russia has strong airframes on paper, but real-world performance, production constraints, and losses have raised serious questions about readiness and sustainment. Sixth, missiles, drones, and air defense, the war inside the war. The biggest shift of the 2020s is that cheap drones and precision missiles can embarrass expensive platforms. China has built a dense anti-access web of missiles, radars, and air defenses designed to make the Western Pacific extremely costly for any attacker. Russia has leaned hard on massed fires and drones in Ukraine, but it has also exposed vulnerabilities when opponents adapt. The US still has the best global strike and sensor network, but it's also learning that stockpiles, production rates, and defenses matter as much as accuracy. And don't forget space and cyber. Satellites guide navigation, targeting, communications, and intelligence. The US is still strongest, China is rising fast, and Russia can disrupt. In war, the first shots may often be digital. 7th, land forces, the category people overrate. China has the numbers, Russia has combat experience, and the US has high-end combined arms and global sustainment. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A direct tank versus tank comparison is mostly fantasy, because big wars between major powers quickly become air defense, drones, artillery, electronic warfare, and logistics. Russia's ground forces have shown toughness and learning under pressure, but also serious weaknesses in planning, protection, and high-casualty tactics. China's ground forces are huge, but largely untested in modern high-intensity combat. The US has experience from decades of operations, but a future peer war would look very different from the wars it has fought recently. So I'll say it like this. If you're fighting on Russia's doorstep, Russia is dangerous. If you're fighting near China's core interests, China is dangerous. If you're fighting far away and need a coalition, the US is built for that. 8th, alliances, the multiplier nobody can copy overnight. The US has a network. NATO, Indo-Pacific partnerships, intelligence sharing, basing access, and interoperability. That's not just politics, it's extra runways, extra ports, shared surveillance, and pooled logistics. China has partners, but not a comparable alliance web for high-end warfighting. Russia has partners, but again, not an integrated coalition system on the US scale. Finally, nuclear deterrence, the category everyone loses. Russia and the US are the two massive nuclear superpowers. China's arsenal is growing but still smaller. If nukes enter the equation, winning becomes meaningless. The real purpose is deterrence, preventing the worst outcome by making it unthinkable. So what's the conclusion? If you're asking, who is the #1 overall military power today? It's still the United States, because it can project power globally, integrate multiple domains, and operate with allies. If you're asking, who is the fastest rising military competitor? It's China, because its industrial base and regional strategy are built for a specific, terrifying problem set. And if you're asking, who is most dangerous in a grinding, brutal, high-casualty war? Russia remains extremely dangerous, especially close to its borders, but it's paying a heavy price for that kind of war. The real lesson is this: the US is built to fight far. China is built to win near. Russia is built to endure pain, but at a cost. Now I want your take. Which category matters most in the next decade? Industry, drones, naval power, or alliances? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this, simple, factual, and not hype, hit subscribe. Let's break it down again in the next one.